Hello grapplers and welcome to a new episode of the Siberia Lab, SPD as a Punisher. There are three things you need to consider before we go ahead with SPD. First of all is that you can always punish dry reversals on block if you're not in burnout with SPD, because that's -6. Second thing, spacing is really weird in this game. So there are moves that are technically within the numbers of SPD, either -5 or more, -6, -7. So those can technically SPD if they're close, but the spacing makes it very hard for some moves to be punishable. And the third thing is frame data changes if you're in burnout, dry rushes. All of those things are just for you to consider that you can always use SPD in the neutral. It's a 5-frame move. Not every character is gonna be here, because some characters space themselves way too good, others are not that minus. The first thing you have to consider with Deejay is that standing heavy kick, even though this is a move that they usually use spaced, if they do it very close, let's say over here, you can SPD because that is -5. The annoying sweep, this is technically -6. Again, he can space. Usually after a few lights they want to use crouching medium kick. Well, this is also -6, and if he's over here, here you go, you can light SPD. We're always considering light SPD, by the way, because that's the one with more range. In some very strange cases, you can use heavy. The sweep, the actual sweep, the crouching heavy kick, which is not technically a sweep, it's a move that propels him forwards, it's -11. He usually uses this as anti-air or after juggles. But raw, it's -11, so you can technically also SPD. He has a target combo with medium punch. You'll see this very often, especially in burnout. There's a feint, which is medium, back heavy punch. You'll see that in the frames, this is actually -5. So if you wait for the second hit, that's also SPD-able. 100 slaps. If he goes for the heavy or the medium ones, those are -8. Even if he goes for the Sumo Spirit. The EX one, -3, so be careful with that one. Even though here, he's -5, and you can SPD, you can space yourself with that. So this is, sometimes the range can be kinda bizarre, and he can escape. But usually after lights, he's gonna go into this thinking that he got the combo without recognizing the hit. This is SPD-able. The second thing you can do is the Psycho Spark. It has a fireball, this thing. The fireball consists of two attacks, the spark and then the actual fireball. You can SPD in between the first part and the second part. Now there's one issue. If he does it very close to you, you're gonna get hit by the fireball. If he's spaced, let's say over here, which is around 2 crouching light punches or 1 crouching light punch, you can SPD. And here, this is one of the examples where you don't necessarily need to use light SPD. He's close enough for medium SPD, even OD. There are only two things I can say about Guile. The first thing is that the sweep is -12. If it's close enough, let's say here, you can SPD. If that doesn't work, you can always go for sweep, standing medium punch, even crouching heavy punch in some cases, because he moves forwards. Upside down kick, called reverse spin kick actually, is -8. This is very common after knockdowns, and you do have to be careful around this thing, because this is a punish counter pseudo launcher, because he's gonna go for super level 1 if he gets it, and he also escapes a lot of grabs, super level 3 for example, because this is technically in the air. But if you manage to block it, that's -8. You do have to be careful because he can space himself. But if that's the case and he's -8, you can always try to go for something else like standing light kick. But usually if he's over here and he wants to go for it just to bait a throw, -8, SPD. The only move you can safely SPD with this guy is Malice, which is the target sweep. The command normal sweep. This is -14. It is very minus, however he spaces himself. But if for some reason the JP does it over here, you can SPD. And again, probably the best punish for this is sweep. Most common one, medium Jinrai, is -7. He goes usually for, yes, the low. And the low is -5. He can space himself, so you cannot punish the low, but that is very rare. But usually he goes for standing heavy punch into Jinrai and then... So this is most of the time the perfect punish. But do be careful. There you go. That can happen. Most of the time you can light SPD the low Jinrai. I want to give you something special. The medium Jinrai is -7. So if you have super level 3, Ken players should never use the medium Jinrai on block. Because no matter what kind of follow-up he goes for, if you have super level 3, after blocking the first one, you can go for it because the super is actually 6 frames. So there's nothing he can do. Most of the time guarantees, because it's also dependent on spacing. But if he goes for this and he tries to jump, he's dead. There's nothing he can do. Either in the neutral, he tries to go for this, or he tries to be cheeky, like, I don't know, a backdash into this. He's dead. There's nothing he can do. You can teach some manners to Ken players. Going back to the SPD, the other move you have to consider is standing heavy kick. This is usually spaced. Again, it's a punish counter launcher. But if you're close enough, you can definitely SPD because he moves forwards with the hurt box. The overhead, this move, is -9. Depending on ranges, you can SPD. This is very common for Manon players. They shouldn't do this, but they do sometimes. But they go for the target combo into this, and that's basically a guaranteed SPD. Just be careful because if she hits you over here, you shouldn't be able to do it. But if she's close enough, very unlikely for her to use this outside of combos, especially in a matchup where there are no fireballs involved. But if for some reason she does it, she can get SPD'd if she's close, again, close enough, because this is -5. The OD version is double digits, so this is basically dead. Gladius is actually -5. Any version of Gladius, except for the EX one, that's still -5. The only thing that is plus is when she fully charges the Gladius, and there's a sound cue. Pretty common for her to do something like this. That is actually -5. In the neutral, it's kind of hard to get. Some buttons space her very, very well. Technically, I'm not even moving, and the SPD is whiffing. You should always try to parry the Gladius, honestly. The first one is the target combo. That is -5. Sometimes you can get this, and that's fine. And other times, he can't escape. It's very weird. The spacing can lead to that. There are some interactions where you can whiff it. The other one is the quick burn, which is the 2 hit. The first one is a regular hit, the second one is an overhead. But if you block these two, you can always SPD. It's not easy for Zangief to punish himself with SPD. You're usually gonna punish with sweep, standing medium kick, standing heavy punch. But there's one move that you have to consider if the other Zangief player is going for it. That is a standing medium punch, regular. Block it. You block the first hit, and between the first hit and the second hit, there's a huge gap you can SPD. If that happens to you, here, you can SPD. Because this is -2. So technically the Zangief player can just hit you once and not do anything. Look at this range. Only with the tip of the standing medium punch, I can see that with him. But you'll see that he cannot get most of the target combo. The second part is gonna whiff. The third part is gonna whiff, and at that point he's -27, so you can go even for whale kick. That being said, just to remind you, there are other situations where you can go for SPD. These are the more common ones in my opinion, but there are way more. Those are more situational. Again, it will happen in weird scenarios where you maybe block the second part of a string or the third part of a string and they're gonna be close to you. Technically, you can always go for SPD if they're -3, if you think they're gonna parry. So there are more weird situations with light SPD specifically. You should always consider SPD as, and this is something I've said in the past, as a regular poke. It's just another poke you have. As always, take care of yourselves. Hydrate, keep playing grapplers. Remember, we have a Discord. I also stream very regularly on twitch.tv/SiberiaLab. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm very happy to answer. Keep playing grapplers, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.